I get phone calls and emails nearly every day that go like this. Hi, Tom. How much money can I make in the cleaning business? My answer is pretty simple. As little or as much as you want to. It's up to you. This is because some people like to keep things simple, so they don't bother getting a lot of accounts. They work part-time, but they can bring in a full-time income if they play their cards right. At the other end of the spectrum are those that want to get a bunch of accounts. Doing so means you'll have more moving parts to manage and less free time on your hands, but also a lot more income. There is no right or wrong route to take, as it's up to you to decide what type of company you want to build. So as you can see, how much you make boils down to how many accounts you have and how much each one makes per month. So to help you figure out what you can expect to earn, I'll provide a few case studies based upon real jobs that I had in my business. I would think that once you get some experience, you would be able to replicate what I did.
In each example today, I'm going to include the account frequency, time it took to clean each visit, the monthly income that account generated, how much was spent on labor and supplies, how much was applied towards overhead, and finally, how much profit was left over. Before I get started, keep the following in mind. I bid a lot of jobs over the years. I created an efficient attack plan for each account once I got it. The cleaning times discussed are after spending a few weeks on the job. I hired good people and they hustled to get done. You may do better or you may do worse than what I'm about to show you. Now that we got that out of the way, let's begin. I'm going to share 7 jobs in total. The first 6 are profitable ones. Then at the end of the video, I'm going to share the 7th and how I messed up on that one and hardly made any profit at all. Stick around to watch that one because generally you'll learn more from the losers than you do from the winners. Anyway, let's dig in. Our first example today was a cemetery office. I know that sounds a little creepy, but it's just an office, just like any other. We cleaned it 1 time per week, took an hour to clean, charged $4.10 per month. We spent $52.39 on labor and supplies. We applied roughly $15.72 towards our overhead costs, and we earned a respectable $341.89 in profit. Obviously, I liked collecting jobs that were this profitable. They're not a dime a dozen by any means, but they are out there for you to have. And you'll find, at least I found in my experience, that many of my most profitable accounts, as far as how much I made per hour, were simply 1 time a week jobs, little jobs like this that I bid and I was able to get done a lot faster than I anticipated. So there's a lot of money to be had in any type of account. Facility number 2 was a doctor's office. We cleaned it 5 times a week. It took 3 hours to clean per visit. We charged $1,500 per month. We spent $798.60 on labor and supplies. We applied $239.58 towards overhead, and when you combine those 2 numbers together, subtracted off your $1,500, you get the profit, which is $461.82 for this particular job. This doctor's office is what I would call a typical medical facility. It's cleaned 5 times a week, which is really what many doctor's offices require of you, some even more than that. But jobs like this are really what you want to be seeking as a business owner. This one had above average profit, which is good, I'll take that. And once again, these are the bread and butter accounts that put food on your table at the end of the month. For instance, if you take the profit margin of $461.82 that this job throws off, you multiply that out by 12 months, you have $5,541. So when you land this job, you just got a $5,541 raise. You collect 6 jobs like this, you're making $33,251 just for managing a couple employees. You're not even getting your hands dirty, and you're working part-time, very part-time, and you're making full-time money. So these are the jobs you want to focus on. They're out there. I found them, and you can find them too. Facility number 3 was another doctor's office. We cleaned this one 4 times per week. It took 2 hours to clean per visit. We charged $1,400 per month. We spent $419.14 on labor and supplies. We applied $125.74 towards overhead, and we earned $855.12 in profit when all was said and done. What stands out for me on this doctor's office is that it was 4 times a week, and that's a little bit abnormal. Most doctor's offices, a small one's going to be 1 time a week, a little bigger one's going to be 2 or 3 times a week, and most times, if it's a decent sized office, it's going to be 5 times a week. The 4 times a week is a little odd. Every once in a while, you're also going to find 6 and 7 times a week. I found them as well, but
they're few and far between. The $1,400 was a high price for that particular office. It probably should have been lower than that. However, it wound up being $1,400 because the company they had before me, they were paying $1,400, and I came in and I happened to ask them, "What are you paying now?" They said $1,400, and I told them I could do a lot better for the same price. So instead of me bidding lower, which is what I probably would have bid if I didn't know they were already paying $1,400, I asked them what they were paying. They said $1,400, and I said I can do better, and they hired me. And that's how I came across the job with so much profit, because the guys before me, whoever they were, really dropped the ball, because this was a gold mine to have. And you don't have to collect too many of these to make a lot of money. If you had 6 of them, you'd be over 60 grand a year, because this job is worth $10,261.44 in profit. If you only collected 3 jobs like this, you're over $30,000 a year in pure profit, and you're not even doing the work. So these jobs are out there, just like I told you about the other ones. They're out there to be had. Facility number 4 was yet another doctor's office. We cleaned this one only once per week. It took 2.5 hours to clean per visit. We charged $530 per month. We spent $130.98 on labor and supplies. We applied $39.30 towards overhead, and we earned $359.72 in profit, which is another very nice account to have in your portfolio. What stands out once again on this account is the profit margin. I earned $359.72 in profit. That's nothing to sneeze at. That easily will buy you a new van for your business. I know that my vans, when I bought them new, cost me anywhere between $315 and $330 a month. You could also set that money aside for your retirement, or better yet, you could invest it into your advertising so that you can go get more jobs just like this one. Facility number 5 was a security company. We cleaned them 5 times per week. It took 3.25 hours to clean per visit. We charged $1,800 per month. We spent $865.15 on labor and supplies. We applied $259.55 towards overhead. And when all was said and done, we earned $675.30 in profit each month. What I remember about this company was that they were a global firm. They had offices in the UK, USA, and all over Europe. This was a really nice account because we could get into it early every day. Anytime after 4:30, Monday through Friday. That was our cleaning times. Once again, another really high profit account, and the backstory behind this one is we landed this by simply going to an industrial park and handing out flyers. And that's the power of just getting the word out by a very simple method. I know a lot of people say, oh, flyers is such an old school way of doing things, but this account is, as you can see, very profitable, and we got it by handing them a piece of paper that was worth 2 cents. You know, it just had our information on it, a nice offer that said, hey, give us a call and we'll come out and give you a free estimate, and the rest is history. Facility number 6 was an accountant's office. We cleaned this one time per week. It took 1.25 hours to clean per visit. We charged $275 per month. We spent $65.49 on labor and supplies. We applied $19.65 towards overhead, and we earned $189.86 in profit. As you can see, this was not a large account. It was only $275, but we did do well, making $189 and change in profit. A lot of people will turn their nose up at small jobs like this because they're too busy aiming for the fences. However, jobs like these are very powerful because they add up to a lot when you have a bunch of them. I remember having somebody ask me, well, why do you do so many small jobs? I mean, we did a lot of large jobs, and they were always confused, but why do we do all these small ones? And I said, because all these small jobs add up to over $6,000 a month in gross revenue. And out of that $6,000 a month in gross revenue, I'm putting a fair amount of that in my pocket in pure profit because these little jobs are so profitable. And I think that helped explain to that person how powerful these jobs can be when added together. And the other benefit as well is that small jobs pay on time or early. Large jobs, they pay right at the last moment or late. And jobs like this, I could mail out an invoice on the 1st of the month and I would get paid on the 5th or the 7th or the 10th, time and time again. And that really helps your cash flow. So that's another reason why small jobs are well worth your time and effort, especially in the beginning when you're trying to raise money and get money coming in the door month after month. The one constant that runs through each one of these case studies is this: we clean the accounts much faster than we originally planned for. We got done quicker, and that's why these profit margins are so high. We normally bid between $20 and $35 an hour, depending upon the account frequency. The more we clean, the cheaper the price per hour. That makes sense. But as you can see, sometimes we get a lot more than that in the end, and this is because a combination of several factors. The first one is we work hard to come up with an attack plan that gets us done. The more efficient you are, the more you're going to earn per hour. We also dig in the first few weeks so that we can get the account in a more manageable condition, which makes it easier to clean going forward. Plus, it makes the customer happy because once you're hired and you come in and make a big difference, boom, they're instantly happier. Then you have to consider that some offices are very dusty, while others never seem to get all that bad. And a lot of times you don't really know this until you get hired. And this dust factor can directly affect how much time it takes to clean. Lastly, sometimes I just overestimate how long it's going to take to clean a facility. The bidding process is not an exact science, so you will not be spot on all the time. And if I'm going to make an error on bidding, I want to err on the high side, not on the low side. Now, if you remember earlier, I said I was going to share the details of one account that didn't turn out so well. This one was a real dud. When you first get started, you may lay a few eggs just like this one. Just remember, you will get better as you do more bids. This doesn't mean you won't lay an egg every now and again. It just means that your bad bids will get more infrequent over time. Okay, here's the numbers. Facility number 7, another doctor's office. We cleaned it 5 times a week. It took 1.5 hours to clean per visit. We charged $5.50 per month. We spent $399.30 on labor and supplies. We applied $119.79 towards overhead, and this left us with a horrible profit margin of only $30.91 in profit. In this example, I thought the job was only going to take no more than 1 hour to clean. I honestly thought it was only going to be about 45 minutes, but instead, it took an hour and a half to clean, basically twice as long. Due to how I bid a job and calculate overhead, my profit would have been $203.94 every month when all was said and done, if it took less than an hour, or up to an hour. But because it took a lot longer, this job only netted me $30.91 at the end of the month. So the moral here is, you're not going to win them all. But if you play your cards right and make adjustments as you go along, learning as you go, you're going to be just fine. So now I think you have an idea of what you can expect to earn on various accounts once you get started. And hopefully by knowing this information, it opens your eyes a little bit to see what's possible in this business. It also gives you something to shoot for. If you are looking for some perspective, I peaked at 72 individual accounts. Most of these accounts were simply a one-office account, meaning I got hired to clean one location. But I had quite a few accounts that had multiple locations. I got hired by one person, and they said, well, we got all these buildings for you to do. For instance, one customer that hired me had 28 separate facilities that needed to be cleaned every single week. They were spread out all over town. When you get jobs like that, you're going to grow fast. In my case, within just a few short years, my company was cleaning well over 100 separate locations every week. Just during day shift, that doesn't even include some of the stuff we did at night. Needless to say, this heavy workload kept me busy. I was so hectic at times that many days I arrived at the office at 7 a.m. or earlier, and I didn't leave till midnight. I was making a ton of money, but my spare time was very limited. But the great thing about this business is that you don't need all that many accounts to make a lot of money, and I think you can see that now. While I went all the way to 72 customers, you can have a real nice lifestyle with only 15 or 20 accounts if you choose your customers carefully. Once you get started, you're going to become an expert in no time flat if you just focus on being a student of the game. Well, I'm going to wrap this up now. If you have any suggestions about this video or questions, be sure to leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Thanks for tuning in and good luck to everyone out there. And be sure to visit me over on cleaningforprofit.com. Thank you.